All right, the first padded practice in the books. We are live at Hallis Hall. We always appreciate when the Bears roll out the red carpet for us. And Waddle, we are always appreciative when our friend from the Sun-Times, Patrick Finley, joins us.
In person this time.
In person.
Wow.
He's joined us in person before. Pat, did you join it? You were at the Combine with us?
We've done the Combine.
Is there anything else? Well, one day we'll do the Super Bowl.
Okay. Do the Bears need to make the Super Bowl
Yes.
for that to happen?
I was just going to say, what are we doing? Is it Rams and Bengals or what?
No, they don't send us anymore.
Oh,
so
that's right.
the Bears have to make the Super Bowl.
They do send me, so I can be at the Super Bowl, and I could call back if you'd like.
Okay, well, that's very nice of you. But we gave a few of our observations early here. Let's start today, then we'll zoom out. What was your observation from the first padded practice, if there were any?
Boy, it felt like football. That was nice. I think that Caleb Williams looked better than he had all camp. That's a low bar because things hadn't been going particularly well.
And it was a run-oriented practice.
It was,
well.
but some of the play-action stuff I really did like, and that's what I'm working on for the Sun-Times today is, Colson Loveland made a couple of great catches over the middle. This whole offense is built around play-action. When you look at Jared Goff, nobody ran more play-action passes last year. Nobody completed more passing yards on play-action last year than Goff. That was true the year before, too. And I think he led the league in play-action passing yards the year before that. So that's the offense. And we couldn't see the offense when you're in OTAs or when you're at the start of training camp and people don't have pads and you can't work on your run game.
Has it been cleaner from your perspective over the course of the last few practices where all the procedural stuff is starting to be smoothed out, or we still see some of it?
Yeah, there's some of that CQ exchange that's still not going well, but boy, it was slippery today between sunscreen and humidity. I don't blame Caleb Williams or Drew Dahlman for having a little bit of trouble with it.
It's the swampiest camp we've had so far. Wait, do you remember a camp as swampy as this?
No.
I'm sure you do. Oh, no, you don't.
No, I don't know. Bourbonnais had poor air conditioning, so it probably felt a little more oppressive once you got done. Here they keep Hallis Hall at 57 degrees,
That's
something
right.
like that. So once you come inside, you actually have to put a sweatshirt on.
All right, so when we talk about the Caleb stuff, there are many people who want to make bolder proclamations. There are other people who are like, look, I'm not judging anything through 4 or 5 practices. Tell us, how many quarterback battles have you, or at least quarterbacks have you covered in this building?
Oh, in the last 2 years of Jay, then Mitch, then Justin, now this.
So you know.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry.
Misery loves company.
Yeah.
So, tell us, how do you feel? How should we feel?
I'm going to give you an unsatisfying answer. I'm somewhere in between. I don't think that everything they do means everything. And there are drills that they put on there where they say throw it in a tight window. And, we could be standing there going, why is he throwing it in the tight window? This other guy's open, but that's the drill. So because of that, it's not an end-all, be-all. That said, we have suffered through Justin Fields and Mitch Trubisky being horrible in training camp. And the team coming out and being like, well, the defense is supposed to be ahead of schedule at this point. Or, oh, hey, it's just a backfield. Justin can't run in these drills, so it's a whole different deal. We've heard all these excuses. And as it's turned out, it's been a pretty good harbinger of pretty bad quarterback play. So I'm scarred enough by that to think that what he does in practice matters. And you have a head coach saying he needs to complete 70% of his passes in practice. So because of that, he's keeping score. Why in the heck shouldn't we?
Have you come to any conclusions yet, obviously very early, as to who may be leading the way in the left tackle competition?
I think Ozzie, if I had to guess right now. And that's not fair to Braxton Jones because I think Braxton's working his way back. This is a problem that good teams have. And, boy, if the Bears have to decide between a rehabbed Braxton Jones and their second-round pick at the end of training camp, that's a really, really good thing, isn't it? And I think Amagaji is third. Whenever they talk about this three-way battle, I always think it's really a two-way battle plus Karan. But, he's got some time to at least make a push.
Why do you think that?
I think one has the pedigree of being the second-round pick. And I think the other one has proven at the NFL level that he can be, at the very least, a decent pass-blocking left tackle. And I think that that's what the Bears need out of that position.
Do you think that Ryan Poles, he usually has his eyes open throughout the course of the entire season, looking to make additions here or there. Do you think that he has maybe a large signing or trade up his sleeve? Or would you say that is highly unlikely?
I think this is the team for the most part. And, there are Bears fans who, went into the offseason saying, hey, we better get a proven pass rusher. And they didn't really do that. I don't think Dio counts as a proven pass rusher. And I think we all thought that they were going to get
Dio, by the way, looks to me like a guy that will spend more time inside than outside.
On passing downs, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they're going to kick him in. And then the question is, who else you got?
Right.
Is it Dominique Robinson? I mean, are we really going to count on that? Maybe there's somebody around cut day, similar to the guy they brought in last year from Seattle who, can be a good situational pass rusher. Maybe that's a move you make. We all thought, I think, that they were going to get a running back. And I woke up on day 2 of the draft. I was convinced they were going to draft a running back. And the board didn't really shake out that way. I still don't know that there are any, difference makers really that are going to be there. And then we can talk about Trey Hendrickson, but I think he wants too much money, and I'm not sure that fits with the Bears' timeline right now. I'm not sure they're a Trey Hendrickson away from winning the Super Bowl.
He wants to talk Trey Hendrickson.
Of course I do.
He is, and I'm with him, but like Waddle, I've not seen him like chomping at the bit for a player as much as he's chomped at, if that makes any sense.
I'm chomped at the thought of
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson,
Yes.
and I won't bite him if he's traded for. But, look, nobody thought Washington was getting to the NFC title game. Nobody thought that the Vikings were going to win 14 games last year. I'm not projecting that that's the path that the Bears are on, but the goal is to get better and win football games. And if you find a way to trade for someone like Trey Hendrickson and you get him into your system for a couple, 3 years, you're a better football team.
And I think you could make an argument that much like if you were in the NBA, if you're an Eastern Conference team, what's stopping you from trying? In the NFC, I think there are far fewer roadblocks than there are if you were a middling AFC team.
Yeah.
I could see it there. What are you going to give up? I mean, you're going to give up multiple, a 1 and a 2?
No, I don't think he would, Patrick, I don't think he would cost you a 1. I mean, I think that may have been the reason why they didn't trade him, because their asking price was too high. I would say a 2, maybe a 3 and change, but then you gotta sign him. Which, I mean, the Bears. One of the things that Ryan Poles has done really well is to keep the financials of this salary cap situation they have really in check. Like, they are in good financial shape. So, if in fact there was a deal like that to be made, they could make it.
If we're dreaming, can I dream about Micah Parsons and stuff?
Of course, yes. But I think
big.
I think Parsons is less likely to be available than Hendrickson. The reason why I mentioned daily Trey Hendrickson is because the Bengals are so full of you-know-what, and they don't know how to do their own business that I think that there's still a chance that deal doesn't get done in Cincinnati.
I'm not sure the Cowboys know how to go about their business.
Good point. That's a good point. But at the end of the day, you know what? Dak signs, CeeDee Lamb signs. Like, they'll do it. It'll just be Jerry bitching and moaning all the way to the negotiation, the finality of it.
It's part of the show. And what's so different from Cincinnati is they don't want to be part of the show at all. And Jerry just makes it part of the dialogue every day.
Yeah. Patrick Finley from the Sun-Times joining us. It's Waddle and Sylvie on ESPN 1000. All right, I want to talk about Luther Burden here in a second, but in that scope. When Luther Burden today is out there, and then he goes in or he does whatever, we were wondering, why isn't he watching and learning? Jalen Johnson, I don't think I've seen Jalen Johnson on the sideline. People get very offended these days if you just even ask a question. You mentioned you watched this team since the last 2 Cutler years. Is it something or nothing when they're not out there and they're not watching?
I think it's something. I think that I haven't seen Jalen with my own 2 eyes. And, I've been here for 6 days now. And maybe he is rehabbing so hard that he can't possibly be out on the field. But that's usually not the case, right? I mean, guys usually have time to step out and watch. When you look at Luther had this reputation at Missouri, which, by the way, fine public institution.
No doubt.
Wonderful
No
degrees
doubt.
come from the University of Missouri. He had this reputation that he didn't practice particularly hard, or at least at times didn't practice particularly hard.
Does everyone from the University of Missouri handle their business that way?
No.
Okay.
Some of us handle it. Some of us
just
practice hard every day. And by the way, that tidbit brought to you by reporting from the University of Missouri. Great school of journalism. Capital.
I have a follow-up, too, but finish your thought.
He had a reputation as not being a great practice player, and if I were him, and if it was under my control, I would be out there. But In the case of coming off the field, I'm sure he didn't come off the field and go sit on a couch somewhere. My guess is that they are continuing the rehab process, particularly once he's a little warmed up the way he was today when he did those individual drills.
And more on him in a second, but Tyler Aki would battle. We always have these battles because we have a producer as well at the station, Jack McGrath, who went to Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tyler, of course, is a Syracuse bot. And they just continue to manufacture them off the line there. Missouri versus Syracuse Journalism School, go.
If you are a print or online person, I don't think there's a better school in the world than Missouri. I'm sure there are Northwestern alums driving down the street right now who want to steer off into a ravine and shout into their steering wheel. So if I were ranking them, I'd probably go Missouri, Northwestern, Syracuse. But if you want to do broadcast, I think it's probably Syracuse, Northwestern, Missouri.
That's great. Were you surprised at all to see DJ Moore working with the running backs in the first set of individual drills? Because I've got this. Obviously, I have dreams. Trey Hendrickson's one of them. The other one is Luther Burden and DJ Moore in a split backfield.
Okay.
And Ben Johnson using these guys.
Can we run Wishbone and put Eric Kramer at fullback?
No, don't need that. Don't want any. No Kramer in the backfield. I don't care which Kramer it is. I don't ever want to see a Kramer in the backfield again.
Cosmo Kramer?
No,
okay.
Nobody. But I it was one of the things I noticed early was, and I don't make too much of it, but DJ was, he was running with or working with the running backs and working on handoff.
Yeah, they hinted last week that we've got some stuff for DJ and we're going to use him a little different than he was used last year. So in that sense, when I saw him in the backfield today, I wasn't shocked.
Yeah.
But boy, it's an interesting idea.
I love it. I like it like Deebo Samuel.
Yeah. I don't know that he's as physical as Deebo.
Yeah, I agree with
that. And I'm not sure that I want either Deebo or him getting hit as often as they would get hit in that situation. But I think it makes some sense, especially if Luther Burden is pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's where the pressure, I think, falls on him now, Missouri education or not, that he's got to be ready to go. He's got to know the plays. He's got to be a dynamic force by the end of training camp because then you can get cute.
Yeah.
Without it, God forbid you're playing, your fifth wide receiver because DJ Moore's got to, be a gimmick in the backfield a couple of times. That's not going to work.
So you led me into an interesting tidbit. With all those weapons, we think there's a lot of weapons. We'll see if it materializes. Give me the order in receiving yards. Ooh. You don't have to name the receiving yards, but who leads them in receiving and where does it funnel down from there with all these pass catchers?
Boy, I think Zacchaeus will be better than we think. That's my hot take. It's probably going to go. I think it's going to go Rome, then DJ.
Rome,
DJ, Zacchaeus, Burden, and maybe Burden returns punts.
What if
you?
Loveland's in there too? What if I throw Loveland and Kmet? So
Rome, DJ, Loveland, Zacchaeus, Kmet. Boy, that sounds weird to put him fifth.
And then Burden down there.
But then you've got Swift, too. I mean,
yeah.
We have six. You can make an argument with a straight face of all those six guys. You could argue every single one in the top two, maybe top three.
I think we checked yesterday or the day before, or last week, rather, that that the last time Swift was playing in a Detroit offense, he had 47 receptions. So, they use –
I think he had 52 here last year on a broken offense.
Right.
That's what makes him good. And then you can have a conversation about, okay, if you want to use him like that, you better have another running back that makes sense, too. And whether that's Kyle Monangai, whether that's Roshan Johnson, whether that's, like I said, somebody on cut day, I don't know. But they need depth there to be able to get cute with Swift the way that they need depth to be able to get cute with DJ.
There are some really interesting combinations, but again, I think it comes all the way back to the biggest question: does Caleb and do Caleb and Ben find common ground sooner rather than later, or does it take a good 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks before that happens?
I don't think it's going to go as smooth as some people would like. I don't think that that's the end of the world. I think on some level, if this year turns into what the most optimistic Bears fan was hoping for last year, then that's about right. A team that finishes 9-8, but the offense in the second half of the season is damn scary. That might not feel like progress as we sit here today, but I think it would be.
Yeah, we've asked that. We always tend to say, look, what are you shooting for? And then what is the bottom? What is the floor of what is an acceptable season. So the floor of an acceptable season for Caleb Williams, describe it to us. I mean, it doesn't have to be numbers. It could just be that description.
I start with snap count. I think the best thing he did last year was play, 99% of their snaps? Every relevant snap, for sure. He needs to do that again, and he needs to be lucky to be able to do that again. My God, he was sacked, the third most times ever and still managed to take all those snaps. But just to get that Rolodex, which is an old man word for, the list in your phone of phone numbers, to have that going forward, I think is really important. And you don't get that without experience, and he needs to have experience in Ben's system now. So I think that's number one. That's the thing that he has to do, absolutely. Beyond that, completion percentage, taking fewer sacks. How many sacks did he take last year?
68.
Boy, what would you be happy with? 45?
40, somewhere in the low 40s, mid 40.
Yeah, let's get that down to 45. Let's complete 65% of our passes, 66% of our passes. Then I think you've got something at that point. And if your run game is just decent, I'm not sure. He wants to throw for 4,000 yards. I don't think that's that big of a goal if it's anywhere outside of Hallis Hall. But, how long has it been since the Bears have had a team that runs the ball in the fourth quarter because they're ahead by 10? Like we don't need passing volume out of this guy if they're winning games.
It was the Lovey era, right?
It had to be.
Era.
Yeah, it had to be. I mean, maybe a couple of Matt Nagy games in December.
Right, with Mitch.
In 2018. But, yeah, I don't get caught up in like I said, the big aggregate numbers with him as much as I do the percentages.
How difficult do you think it is for him to buy in fully? Because Caleb has probably played in a less structured environment his entire football career. That's not going to be the case here. You're going to have to play within Ben's structured system if, in fact, you're going to be his starting quarterback.
Let's look at the last two seasons he played in an unstructured system. Last year was, disaster? What word do you want to use? Mess, disaster, circus on fire, something like that?
Yeah, circus on fire.
Yeah, uneven.
I like circus on fire better.
Right, and then at USC, his last season there, their defense was like we were playing defense for them, or at least I was playing defense for them. It was non-existent, but they were 6-6. Like, they played in the Holiday Bowl. Like, that wasn't a successful season either. So I think his level of buy-in for Ben Johnson is pretty big. I think that if he wants to win, that Ben offers a path to that.
Yes.
In the last two seasons with coaches and systems that relied very heavily on him, didn't go so well. So if he's not motivated to follow Ben to freedom, I don't know that he's ever going to be.
Not just following Ben to freedom, but let's be honest. I mean, there's a business element to this situation as well. Following Ben to the bank.
Yeah,
because
sure.
If Caleb reaches his potential that we all feel he has, he's looking at a $500 million contract down the road. If he doesn't follow Ben to the promised land, then you kiss that enormous payday goodbye. So to me, it's like I think you have a buy-in because you love the sport of football. And if you go out there and you watch a lot of these guys play, they're not out there just for the money. They are for some of it, but you have to have both.
Right.
So for him to get to where he wants to be, and he came into this league saying, hey, I'm a business entity as well, to get to that giant contract, I think he'd be wise to buy in 100% and follow Ben to the bank.
They can renegotiate his contract at the end of next season.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And you need to be undeniable at some point between now and then, don't you? And I think I've been here too long, and boy, you guys have been here longer than I have, but we've all seen too much so much that we can't be convinced on a day in July that anything's going to work. Well, shoot, we can't be convinced on a day in November that anything's going to work out great. But I think that they're giving themselves, the best chance that they could possibly give themselves. Whether it works or not, who knows?
Yeah. Did you like covering Ben Johnson so far?
I do. I think there's a confidence in the way he carries himself that didn't show through with the last guy. I think that there have been cases this year where he knows what the hot topic is going to be, and he just leads with it. And as a reporter, it's great because we don't have to use our bullet on that. Like the Caleb Williams thing with his dad. He walks in and he leads his press conference with, I understand my quarterback's been in the news. and then talks about it.
Yes.
The other day when Luther Burden was out and they didn't bother telling us before practice that Luther Burden wasn't going to be at practice, he comes out and goes, I realized we didn't address this, but Luther Burden, blah, blah, blah. That sounds simple and basic and just something you're supposed to do, but that hasn't always happened here, so I'm appreciative of that. I think that he is emotionally is not the right word. I think he has an intelligence level to him that he can play the room well. I mean, he read a Brian Piccolo poem.
Yeah.
And then, he will go MF a player if a player is doing poorly on the field. To be able to act comfortable in both rooms, I think is a sign of an emotional intelligence that football coaches don't always have. Is that a nice way to say that?
Right. It's like Trustman was super smart,
right?
But he was a total nerd and couldn't relate to the players.
He talked to the players from the back of the room, not the front. That was just weird. Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy's not, and Ben's not like that. Ben's the smartest guy in the room, but he's relatable as well, which is a great mixture there. Pat, we always appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Of course.